Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to break down a modern ghost story that kicks off on one quiet night in a school library. It turns a totally normal walk home into, well, an absolutely unforgettable run-in with a local legend. All right, let's just dive right in. I want you to think about that feeling for a second. It's late, you're walking somewhere you've walked a million times, but suddenly it feels off, strange. That's the exact vibe we're going for here, because our whole story starts with one student's terrifying journey home.
So, our story begins in a place every student knows well, especially during that pressure cooker time of final exams, the school library. We're at Eden Hill School, and the library is usually this super calm, quiet place. But tonight, yeah, that's all about to change.
So the school, trying to be helpful, decided to keep the library open late for finals. And you'd think that's a good thing, right? But what it really did was create this weird, unnatural bubble of light and sound in a building that was normally pitch black and silent after hours. It kind of set the perfect stage for something unexpected. Our main character is just totally zoned in, cramming for exams, so much that they don't even realize the library is slowly emptying out. Then they look up at the clock. It's 10 p.m., and the place is a complete ghost town. The quiet isn't just quiet. It's this heavy, thick silence that just feels wrong. And this is the moment everything flips. Cutting right through that silence is this weird, rhythmic noise. Thump, drag, thump, drag. It sounds exactly like someone is limping nearby. That's it. Completely terrified, the student just slams their book shut and makes a run for the door. Okay, so the student is out of the library, but they've basically just traded one creepy spot for another. Now they're in this long, dark hallway, just trying to get to the exit. The problem is, they are not alone. As they're racing down the hall, they see it. A silhouette, way at the other end, just standing there, perfectly still. And you know that feeling you get? That immediate gut punch of dread that tells you something is very, very wrong? That's what hits them. So with this incredibly uneasy feeling, the student calls out into the darkness. But what's really fascinating here isn't the question itself, it's the response it gets. It's immediate and totally unnatural. Just like that, poof, the figure vanishes. Instantly, and for just a second, there's this huge wave of relief. The student bursts through the front doors, out into the night air, thinking they're safe. But that feeling? It was just a total illusion. So now they're outside, but that sense of safety lasts for, about 2 seconds. That feeling of being watched, of being followed, it only gets stronger as they start walking home through these now deserted streets. And this just paints such a creepy picture of the atmosphere. See, this street is always busy. It's a hub of activity. But on this night, it was just empty, eerily desolate. Not one car, not another person anywhere. The familiar had become totally and profoundly strange. They're walking with their head down, just trying to get home as fast as possible. And that's when they see a shadow stretching out on the pavement right in front of them, even though there's nobody there to cast it. They look up, and there she is, the same woman from the hallway, now walking right in front of them. Slow. Deliberate. And now we get a clear, absolutely horrifying look at her. Her clothes are ragged and filthy, her hands and feet look like they're twisted at these unnatural angles, and her hair is just a mess. And she's walking with that same distinct limp. The sight is so disturbing that the student just freezes, stops dead in their tracks. So this is it. This is the climax of the whole encounter. The student is just paralyzed with fear, literally trapped on the sidewalk with this impossible figure blocking their way home. So, what happens next is the absolute turning point. The woman turns, and in a voice that must have been just bone-chilling, she asks this one question. Can you imagine hearing that on an empty street in the middle of the night? The student is in such shock, their brain just shuts down. At this point, it's just pure survival instinct. They have to get this woman away from them. So, without even thinking, they raise a shaky hand and just point randomly down the street, saying something like, "Over there," just desperate to make her leave. The woman actually limps away in the direction they pointed, until she's almost out of sight. And then, From way down the street, she lets out this terrifying scream, yelling back 2 words, "She is here." And after that, the student remembers nothing. They just black out right there on the street. When the student finally comes to, they're safe at home. A neighbor had found them and brought them inside. And it's this neighbor who gives them the piece of the puzzle that makes this whole horrifying night make some kind of sense. The neighbor starts telling them about the local legend of Eden Hill, and suddenly, it all clicks. It's the story of a ghost named Agatha, a mother whose 10-year-old daughter was a student at that exact same school. So here's the tragic backstory. Way back in 1998, Agatha's daughter died in a horrible accident at the school. The story goes that Agatha's grief was just so powerful, so all-consuming, that her spirit could never move on. She's believed to still be searching the school grounds, wandering the streets nearby, forever looking for her lost child. And all of a sudden, every single bizarre and terrifying detail from that night just clicks into place. It all makes this awful, horrifying kind of sense. The limp, the tattered clothes, that desperate question, "Have you seen my child?" And of course, the location. It all points directly back to the legend of Agatha. And that's our look at the ghost of Eden Hill. The story leaves us with one last really chilling thought to chew on. Out of pure fear, the student pointed away. But you have to wonder, what would have happened if, when Agatha asked if they'd seen her child, they had answered yes?